People want to say that I don't experience PMS symptoms, but I've been cramping incredibly bad all day.
Joey, baby, grab my cheek.
It's important to recognize that debate is not about winning an argument. It's about making sure everyone feels okay.
It's possible, maybe even likely, that we have the most amazing clip we've ever played on this show. Joe Biden tells a story that has been debunked several times. Jamal Bowman blames Republicans for things that Democrats did. Also, countries in Europe are talking about mass deportation after the Hamas attacks and subsequent support of those attacks. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the dingiest of dingy bunkers, completely and totally and utterly cut off from the outside world. Not from like the other dingy bunker. This dingy bunker is the dingiest of bunkery bunkers. Cool, there's unfinished cement walls. Where was I? Live from the dingy bunker. On today, it is November 7th, Tuesday, the year of our Lord 2023. A lot to catch you up on, including, again, I think the most amazing thing we may have ever experienced together on this show. Also, I think yesterday I said it was the 7th. Today is the 7th. But this is unbelievable. I don't want to oversell this, but I do want to make it clear that I think this is one of the most unbelievable, amazing things I've ever seen. The guy on there saying, "We are effing doomed." This is one of the National High School Debate Championship rounds. I'm not familiar with this particular debate program. They're still doing it over Zoom, which is weird, but I don't know. Such is modern culture now. Everything's on Zoom. I want to play you this clip, a couple clips, because the way that apparently high schoolers are looking at how debate is being done in this country and just how it should be done is astonishing. And I don't want to oversell this, but this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I didn't know that the woke craziness had permeated its way all the way through high school. I understood the colleges were doomed, but high school students? So this is the championship round of one of the big national debate things. Obviously, debate, you present your argument. You're presented with a topic, and then you're supposed to argue one side or the other. And the point is not necessarily to argue what you believe necessarily, but to come up with points and arguments in a cohesive way and present them in such a way that would convince a judge to say that, okay, well, you won this debate. That is no longer the case. We've seen on college campuses where people are using their quote-unquote lived experience to win debates because, I don't know, college debate judges are also crazy people. But I hadn't seen this yet. The topic of this debate was debating the efficacy, the efficiency, I don't know, of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, which honestly I think should be debated. And people should understand what the International Monetary Fund is and what they do and what their parameters are. I think that's a fascinating topic. One of the teams decided, no, we're not going to debate the International Monetary Fund. We were given a topic, but we're going to decide to talk about something else entirely. They played a big, long clip from an AIDS protest in the 80s in New York, and then went on for a while sounding like this. Prepare your ears for some incoherent screeching. Watch this.
Ensures it's the sacrifice of all vital energy for the pure abstraction of the idealized continuation of society. Queerness must figure as being against the future itself. In the name of the future, any repression can be justified. This round is going to be a debate about debate. The button you're clicking does nothing to the IMF itself. Your choice instead is whether to affirm our performance. The role of the ballot is to vote for the team that constructs the best strategy for trans liberation in debate. Essentially, you are deciding, will you join the protest? Vincent 13. Debate isn't of itself a performance. We must evaluate what a debater's performance does and justifies. Those with privilege in debate are never forced to have their performance attached to them. Their arguments are viewed as words on paper. Our alternative is to occupy the debate space until trans debaters can participate safely. Movements are only effective if they create material incentives for those in power to change by denying the community business as normal. TOC Finals is the most important debate in the country. This round will be viewed by hundreds, if not thousands of people. Your affirmation here is the ultimate disruption of the debate space. Ahmed 19, to open institutions that have functioned as containers, you have to throw the usage into
Okay.
idealized.
All right. There we go. That's I let that run on a little bit too long, but we're effing doomed. So the topic was debating the International Monetary Fund, and they said no. We're instead going to debate we're going to get on our soapbox and talk about trans people in debate, and then make this debate whether or not you want it to be. It is now going to be whether or not trans people can be. I don't even know what the argument that they were making was, which clearly is probably not a good sign when you're talking about debate. So they basically hijacked the topic, said we're not debating that. And okay, so if I were judging a high school debate or a debate really at any level, and a topic was given and one of the teams said, "No, we don't want to debate that topic," I would say, "Okay, great, you lose." like, can you imagine if the World Series just happened, right? Can you imagine if one day the Texas Rangers came out and said, "We're not playing baseball anymore. We're gonna do gymnastics," and then proceeded to not play baseball and then compete on their backhand spring? Like, you can't do that. That's the entire sports world would go, okay, like, sure, go ahead and do that. You do lose though. That's you can't say like, "Oh, well, we're gonna do gymnastics and our round off is better than your round off, therefore we win the World Series." The umpire isn't going to go, "Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. You win now." But that's what I think people are expecting here, and unfortunately, which is the reason why we're doomed, it worked. This is a clip from the second team, and you'll see a little bit more of how this kind of played out through the entire debate process. But this is the dude from the competing opposing team giving his piece on the matter. Watch this.
So I think in light of this, Marcus and I have decided to concede the round against Dalton. I think that their message that they've read throughout the entire tournament has been incredibly impactful. And by debating it, I don't think we want to undermine the message that they're trying to get across or try to tear down an argument just for the sake of picking up a ballot. But rather, I think what's more important is to hold a conversation, to discuss their messages and their experiences as well. So in light of everything, we think it's the most important thing in the round is to make sure people have a voice in the first place to get across their message. And there's no greater place to do that than TOC Finals.
First of all, wrong. There will be more people who watch this stream than watch the. Well, okay, that's actually inaccurate. I think their TOTC whatever it is finals got like 5 million views, but that's because of how dumb it was. Nobody's viewing it and going, "Yeah, look at these righteous children standing up for whatever the heck they're talking about." So I guess technically, yeah, I was going to say this show is going to get more views than that. So I don't know if that's the best platform to be making your case on. But yeah, the other team just was like, "Yeah, we don't even want to touch this. We don't even want to get involved here." And put ourselves at risk of being canceled. This is unbelievable in my opinion. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you guys don't think this is as crazy as I think, but holy cow, this is wild. Ryan says my head hurts. Jody says sissy boys. There's another comment here that I lost in there. It's somewhere in there talking about critical thinking, and we're screwed. Shannon, just good lord. Sharon, good lord. The last thing I want to play is this. This is the most wrong I think somebody has been in a long time. Same kid. And again, they get the, I guess, the grace of being young. But at some point, these ideas have to change. Not that you're not entitled to your own ideas, but some ideas are so wrong that you're just going to make yourself a laughingstock. But I want you to listen to what the conceding debate guy said about debate as a whole. Watch this. Oh, never mind.
Idealized continuation.
Message, and to make sure people have a voice in the first place to get across their message, and there's no greater place to do
Sorry,
that
that's
than
the ending of this. I'm screwing up with
it's important to recognize that debate is not about winning an argument. It's about making sure everyone feels okay and making sure everyone feels safe. So when that's hindered upon, I think that's when debate becomes essentially useless in the first place. So it was really, really eye-opening to see those passionate RFDs given by the judges, to see that debate really doesn't matter about the IMF. Like, who cares? Like, what matters is like those people who need to be safe within the round itself.
Again, I don't want to knock this high school kid too much because he is a high school kid, but saying that debate is not about winning an argument. It's about making sure that everyone feels safe. Yeah, no, and it also is at an interesting time, and I don't really know when this was. I assume that this was recently, but I don't know. It could have been a couple months ago. I just came across it, and I thought I needed to share it. But in light of all of the things going on around the world and the apparent need to defend Western civilization and the ideals that Western civilization has brought, which has made the United States and other Western countries the most prosperous and powerful in the world, in light of needing to defend that against people who are apparently way more crazy than a bunch of their other lefties thought they were. We all knew it. We've been telling you forever that these people are nuts. But at a time where you have to make rhetorical arguments defending ideas and defending culture as a whole, not a great thing to say, no. Debate is not about winning arguments. It's about making sure everyone feels safe. Again, I guess you get some leeway for being in high school, but holy cow, that is the most wrong I think anybody has been in a very long time, or at least that I've seen. Debate is 100% about winning an argument. Maybe you don't necessarily convince the person that you're debating, but people watching are going to be convinced one way or another. If you're debating a particular thing and there's a room full of 100 people, the objective is to win over the vote in a more tangible way, or the approval of a majority of the people, because that majority then gets to decide how things are. So yes, debate is about proving a point and being right or being wrong. Because at the end of the day, when the majority decides which direction it goes, it can either be in a good direction or it can be in a bad direction. It's not about making sure everybody feels safe. If everybody leaves the room going, you know what, I feel safe, that's not the point. If everyone leaves the room and says, you know what, I feel safe, and then they usher in policy that ends up leading to hundreds of millions of people dead, that's not a good outcome. Anyways, what a weird thing. Jeff says, sorry, no pass for being in high school. They're parroting liberal teachers' propaganda. That's what it actually is. I think this is more Jeff, you're right. This is more of a reflection of how kids are being taught in the schools, which is not good in any way, shape, or form. But kind of continuing on in the vein of debating and defending Western civilization, I know probably got a little bit heady in that previous thing, talking about one side agreeing and one side the other. So, as we've seen with the recent Hamas attacks, I'm trying to figure out the best way to frame this. Um, in terms of the actual attacks and violence, right? In a lot of ways, a lot of people, I can understand how they would see it as more of a regional conflict. Again, I obviously have a side in this. You know, I'm on the side of the people that didn't attack civilians indiscriminately, unprovoked. But that being said, what it is turned into, especially around the world, is honestly a debate in defense of Western civilization. In other words, yes, this regional conflict happens in this place, and not I'm not trying to downplay that at all, but that's kind of the genesis of all of this. And then across the world, what we saw 100,000 people in Washington D.C. marching in support of Palestine, who is in support of Hamas, saying effectively, yeah, everything they're doing is okay and justified and cool. In other words, defending a way of life and a culture that has led to just destitution for the people that are in Gaza and in Palestine. I think people also forget, and it should be mentioned more often, Gaza geographically, and this is just one facet and component of it, could be, if they let go of the crazy, terroristic, wipe the Jews off the face of the earth mentality. And I don't want to be too, I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm again making light of the situation, but Gaza could be a world destination. Tel Aviv is the most expensive city in the world to live in. Talking about Israel, Tel Aviv in Israel. It's gorgeous. The beaches are fantastic. It's on the Mediterranean. There's massive economic wealth in Tel Aviv. Gaza's like not that far away. I don't even know if it's 100 miles south. It's the same place. Effectively, you have an incredible Mediterranean climate. You've got a beach on the Mediterranean. If they decided to get with the rest of the world in terms of modernizing the way that they thought about things, embracing Western culture, the Gaza Strip could be, again, geographically speaking, a global destination for people to travel to. But instead, they've decided to hold on to value systems and cultural systems that have not done them any good. And in this one small component, and I'm not promoting tourism in Gaza, but in this one small component, have decided to just completely don't we're not even going to try to modernize and join the Western world. We're going to just do our own thing, and everyone's going to hate us for it. Wow, that was a weird tangent that I wasn't expecting to go on. What was I talking about? The regional conflict. So it starts off as a regional conflict, then it balloons into, holy cow, there are way more people on the side of terrorists than I think we all thought, which is now then leading to apparently a necessary defense of Western civilization. In other words, all of the people protesting in the streets that are pro-Hamas / pro-Palestine are saying so because, well, the people that have Western ideas have made it so miserable for us and the people of Palestine or whatever that we need to revolt, and this is our opportunity to do so. And what the duty has now become for people on the more conservative side of things, more of the traditional values side of things, is, okay, wait. I thought we had arguments within the system that we were operating in, but apparently we are talking about the entire system overhaul. I'm fine with debating, I don't know, how we exist together in a homogenous culture. What I'm not fine with is upending the culture that has produced the most wealth, the biggest ability to live comfortably in the world. In other words, Western values. And all of that is a big lead up to this, I guess. Considering that, how do we say this? Immigration, considering that immigration is, well, first of all, you have to consider what borders are. Borders are and countries are where good ideas start and bad ideas end. In other words, take, for example, the United States southern border. What's the difference between us and Mexico? Is the way that we run our society, the culture that we have, and the way that we govern the people that live within the boundaries of the United States of America. If you bring in a ton of people who do not share the same culture, do not share the same ideals, that is going to be a problem. And I'm not talking about, I don't know, different foods or different music or different arts or stuff like that. All of that culture stuff, that's fine. Bring it in. We want more of that. What I am talking about is the differences in how people operate societies. If you live in we'll just use this as an example, is it in a Muslim fundamentalist place, the way that you look at the world and the way that you devise the culture and society that you exist in is very, very, very different than Western civilization, than Western cultures and Western societies. So if you bring a bunch of people whose ideas of the culture don't align with yours, and again, I'm not talking about race, I'm not talking about arts, I'm talking about men believing that they're head and shoulders above women. I'm talking about the anti-liberalization of speech or the legal system. All of these things. If you bring in a bunch of people to your country that don't believe in those things, your country is going to change, and it's going to change for the worse. Not because there are differences in how you govern within the system that you have, but there are differences in the system as a whole, which is a roundabout way of bringing it to this particular point. Considering that a lot of European countries basically imported a bunch of people who do not see Western values as a good thing, they are having some huge issues. Germany in specific is one of those countries. And because of all of the reasons that I just gave and listed, Germany is putting themselves in a position to where they are now seeing the civilization / Western society that they have crafted and created be overrun by people who do not agree with how that should be. I can play you this video. I honestly don't know what this says. Fury remigration. I was told that's. I should have probably just Googled it myself. But Germany is now calling for mass deportation of people who are not subscribing to the ideals that made Germany a comfortable place to live. And by the way, I feel like I should reiterate this again. This has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do, well, religion could be, Judeo-Christian values are kind of the backbone of Western civilization. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that people from other religions can't subscribe to that as a society and a culture. So this has nothing really to do with race. It doesn't really, I mean, unless you're talking about extremists, it doesn't really have anything to do with religion. It has everything to do with how you view the world and how you see society in a world that is crafted in such that you can exist comfortably. So that being said, yeah, look, if there's a socialist coming in from saying we want to upend the society, we think that I don't know, men are so much better than women and speech should be policed and the value systems that you hold are all bad, and that person is, I don't know, a blonde hair, blue-eyed Scandinavian, I don't want them in our country as much as I don't want other people who of whatever it did. What I'm getting at here is the race thing. if you're making this argument, they're going to say, oh, this is a race thing. It has nothing to do with race. It's how you view the world. God dang it. The way my brain is, I can't get more into this Germany story, but I think I went off the rails way too much about this. Bottom line is the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is calling for mass deportations of people who, again, don't subscribe to the cultural / societal beliefs that Germany is trying to uphold. And this is not in the grand scheme of things, trivial debates about how you should govern within that society. It's the people that do not agree with the society as a whole, which I guess pigeon tails back into whether or not debate is a good idea. Holy cow, what happened? Where did we go? Where did we go wrong with this? Hold on. This is actually great. Let me just glancing in the comment section I haven't looked at for a hot second. Ryan says this, then this is probably the most true thing and a much more succinct way of putting it than I've just put it. Bad ideas don't have a race. Yes, that entirely. There are good ideas and there are bad ideas. And if you live in a society that was created by good ideas from a 30,000-foot view, not talking about the small things of like, we should spend money on this or this should be a low, to fight that out, that's all fine. As long as we agree on the broad strokes Western civilization value system, fine. But if you don't, there are going to be issues. And Germany is seeing this right now. They're talking about mass deportations of people who are not based on race, not based on religion, but based on whether or not they subscribe to the culture that led Germany to be a world power. I love that. Bad ideas, what is it? Bad ideas don't have a race. Great. Oh my gosh, what? I'm reading some of these. These are interesting. This is, I don't know. I wasn't planning on that, but I also tweeted this morning. I didn't know that we were in a position where we had to defend Western society. The way that my brain works, I don't want to go down a Columbus rabbit hole, but did Christopher Columbus have his flaws? Yes. But is bringing Western society to the Americas a good thing? 100%, absolutely. People that talk about the anti-colonization, the anti-imperialist, all of that sort of stuff. I get it. I get why they're upset. Also, a bunch of the cultures that were here were beheading children as human sacrifices to the gods. Not to get into a religious debate about whether or not what God is real and what God isn't. But that's just overall a bad thing. So despite the flaws of people spreading Western culture to the rest of the world, overall, net positive. We don't need to get crazy into that. What do we do? How does this happen? Jeff, most recent comment. Heavy subject today. Yeah. I wasn't expecting it. That wasn't like I got a bunch of comedy shows coming up because I'm a comedian. And then now we're talking about the philosophy of civilizations. Weird. What a I don't know. All right, let's end with this. We didn't get to Joe Biden talking about his Angelo Negri story. We didn't get to Jamal Bowman, Mr. Fire Alarm. Didn't get to a lot of stuff, but we'll end with this. Is this satire? Is the question that I have constantly and always with this sort of stuff. Leaving the conversation about Western civilization aside and ending on somewhat of a funny note. This is a dude who I guess, I don't know if he claims to be a girl, but has just had it with people saying that, well, he doesn't experience menstruation. Just watch the video. This is too much.
People want to say that I don't experience PMS symptoms, but I've been cramping incredibly bad all day, and at some point, my pain tolerance went away, and it started hurting incredibly bad for the last 2 hours. So much so that it made me go and throw up 3 times. So yeah, PMS symptoms are ruining my Disney trip. Just ruining my Disney trip.
I don't know. You tell me, is that satire? We're talking about cultural differences. Holy cow. Also, never mind. There's so many points you don't need to continue to reiterate. Or you do. Or do you have to continue to restate points that you state all the time? What's it? Was it Orwell? Could be no, it was Mencken, I think, that said sometimes the first obligation of intelligent people is to restate the obvious. Something like that. Maybe you have to continue going on and on and on about silly things that are still pesky and they're still there and they still continue to exist despite having been debunked several times. Weird, dude. Yeah. Somebody said, Keith said, mocking satire. Is that satire? I don't actually know. Wow. But that'll do it. That's maybe we'll talk about Mr. Fire Alarm and Joe Biden tomorrow because what a weird day. What a weird time. What a weird situation. You know, I heard this the other day on some radio show. Guy was saying, you know, you read history books and you're like, wow, it would have been cool to be alive when some of this stuff was happening. Kind of the chaos around the world, the global turmoil. And then he was like, you know, as it's happening now, the thought that I had while learning about some of the crazier times in history of, wow, it would have been crazy to be alive back then. As it's happening again and happening now, maybe it wouldn't have been so fun to be alive way back when stuff was less certain than it is now. But we're going into a heavy period of uncertainty again, and you know, it's an interesting thing to be able to live through. But I guess the main and overall point is continue defending good ideas over bad ideas. But that'll do it for us, Dave. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. I will be at UCLA on Thursday with Charlie Kirk. Next Wednesday, I will be, the 15th? We'll be in Amarillo, Texas at a TPUSA speech event. Those are not comedy events, but the comedy events will take place November 17th, next Friday, in Twin Falls, Idaho. That show is pretty close to being sold out. And the following day, November 18th, Saturday, we'll be in Blackfoot, Idaho for the comedy tour. So if you have any interest, let me know on social media. You should be able to find me pretty much anywhere. Just type in JOBOB. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. I'll try to be less depressing and introspective of the culture and value and society that we've crafted. I'll see you then. See you tomorrow. God bless America.